Hey, this is Buff Bagwell, and you're watching the Cards Subject to Change podcast. Check it out.
Welcome back to the show!
Welcome back to the show!
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong, Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. Of course, I am your host, Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Thank you so much for joining us. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, and colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo. Of course, we are coming to you loud and clear, live and in living color on the For Frequency's Sake podcasting network. So glad that you are here to join us. Episode 226, our little corner of the world, talking wrestling in the way that we do. And I couldn't do this alone. I've got my tag team partner with me. He is one half of the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions. I will have him read whatever is underneath his name because it's too tiny for me to see. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, what is under your name? That's way
I went a little different. I got inspired by Joe the Showwinkle, who changes his name every show that he does. I am the certified shoot wizard, the Wizard CZ. I do have the certificate to prove that I am indeed a shoot wizard, unlike our friend over at the Confusion podcast, Rob Kammerer. Shout out to Rob.
He doesn't have a certificate, huh?
No, he's a fake wizard.
Okay. Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah, before we really get into things, you mentioned the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. Got to give a big shout out to our flagship show For Fantasy's Sake, who celebrated their 100th episode this morning. So congratulations to Doug, DJ, and the boys over on For Fantasy's Sake. 100, that's a milestone. They got nothing. We got nothing, or they got nothing on us though. We're at 226.
I know. Well, they're a little different. They're seasonal.
That's what we have no off season. What did I just do? I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, what's up?
I'm pressing stats from week 1 of football. I don't know what's going on.
You're throwing different things at us here, but no. It's been a long week. We've got wrestling always going on. You went to a wrestling show last night, and it seemed to and that the stars aligned. It coincided with kind of where the direction our show is going today.
Very much so. I am excited to bring in our guest. We had our 7th pre-show podcast party with Absolute Pro Wrestling last night. Zach Takis and I brought in the fans and hyped up the show. And I think Zach and I may have willed this into existence because we both have this gentleman on, and this is the Cole Cannon Victory Tour, as he is the new Absolute Pro Wrestling champion. Let's bring him on in. Cole, how you doing today, buddy?
Couldn't be better, Zach. I couldn't be better, man. I mean, look at it. Look how beautiful it is.
I better put these on. I got to put these things. That thing's pretty bright, but
it looks great. And it doesn't look
good thing. It's a good thing you're on a screen and not sitting next to Nick, because he'd be.
That's right. I'd be grabbing that thing. No, absolutely. Hey, it is beautiful. And what we're going to talk about that beautiful gold championship here in a little bit. But first time guest in the studio, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody else, Cole. Why pro wrestling? What was it that
Let me sit this thing down. It's kind of heavy for my shoulder.
I got you hooked.
Man, well, as a kid, always a fan. You know, we all start the same way. I grew up kind of at the tail end of the Attitude Era and into the Ruthless Aggression era. So, like, Stone Cold had a big influence on me when I was a kid. I got to see John Cena from the start, to now. So guys like Cena, Orton, Edge, the Hardys, just captivated me when I was a child. And I followed it pretty much all the way up until high school. And then, high school happens, girls get in the way, sports get in the way. You kind of lose sight of that. But, later after I graduated high school and stuff, I kind of rediscovered wrestling when I found out that there was a network where I could go back and watch everything that's already happened. So I just dove right in, started watching old pay-per-views, old WrestleMania, seeing everything that I missed. And then I just like when I was a kid again, it just grabbed me and pulled me in and started going to some indie shows in Iowa. I never realized that the indies were like a thing. So I started going to like Revolver shows when they'd run here in Iowa. And I'm just like, man, I feel like I could do this. And I searched around for schools to see, what's out there, what's close, what's the cost. And luckily I've, been 2020, I found Impact Pro Wrestling, and, I had a little extra money coming in from the government because of the stimulus checks. And I'm like, well, what better way to spend this on than, chasing a childhood dream. So, 5.5 years later, here we are.
And you just answered my normal follow-up question about what brought you into the business. So I'll play off of something you said earlier. You said you've been watching since the beginning of John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we are nearing the end of his career, getting close to that last match, who do you want as his final opponent?
Oh, personally, if I had to have it my way, it'd be somebody like Edge, or The Miz would have been another good one. I've always been a big Miz fan. I feel like that guy's super underrated and underappreciated.
Amen.
But based off of, we already got our last Randy Orton match, was that this past May. We have already seen that. But like, when I think of John Cena's rivals, it's Randy Orton, and we've seen that. It's Edge. I mean, Edge was always there. No matter what, it was, Edge was always a guy that was either right behind him or right in front of him. So if I had it my way, that's where I would go. I don't know if we're going to get that lucky, but, the powers that be know more and know more than I will. So
that's fair. I know we're kind of eyeballing Gunther to win this tournament. So yeah, that's where they're headed.
Which, hey, that'd be great too. Seeing kind of a different style, seen as kind of a very, technical, but more, basic pro wrestling, as opposed to where Gunther's really like physical, gonna beat you down. I think that'd be a good match. So I look forward to seeing wherever they go with it.
I do too. Oh, Clint died. You know it's a big deal when Clint dies in the building or checks in on your podcast. So we are very appreciative of that. Thank you so much, Clint Dye. That's right.
And I'll shout out Clint for providing the picture that we changed on the graphic with the champ holding the belt today. That was very cool having the ability.
Definitely helped out. Clint came.
He always knows how to. He always knows how to get my good side. Always knows how to get my good side.
Talking more about this John Cena thing. I think the biggest gripe or complaint that people have had is WWE's handling of it. But it seems like the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's kind of like the old procrastinate. Oh shit! Now the assignment's due. We got to get something done here, and they're figuring something out. So this tournament at the end is a good idea. It's going to showcase people, whatever. But I wish they would have handled his whole retirement thing like they're doing these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just some of the things that he's done, in this last run, like the heel turn that everybody kind of had always talked about wanting. I think they kind of didn't go. I thought they were going to take that farther than what they did, but I feel like they were kind of like, this isn't working, so we got to change something. I feel like they've never really recovered from that. So maybe this tournament's their best way to do that, and hopefully they'll get it done. I have faith. So, Tripp seems to know, how to get the fans invested every week. So, because we always tune back in,
Right.
For sure. Now you mentioned, Impact Pro. Got to talk about what was it like going into training, stepping into that ring for the first time to learn the craft.
Well, I'll be honest. The first time I stepped in there, I was actually visiting a class, and TS Aggressor was the one there, and he was kind of showing me the ropes, and just being able to stand in the ring. I hadn't even signed up for it officially. I was more just like a visit. And as soon as I stepped in the ring, and I'm just like, yeah, this just feels right. This is something that I need to do. And when I did show up for my first day of actual training, the first thing I did is I looked around at who else was in the class, and I was like, who's my biggest threat in this class? Because I wanted to be the best in the class. So I was like, who is the best guy in this class? If it's not me, who's my competition? And there was a couple guys in there. And out of everybody in that class, I'm the only one that has continued to wrestle for the last, ever since we finished training. A couple people kind of just stepped away. It wasn't really something that they wanted to pursue fully. One person stepped away for a medical reason, and I know he's still trying to claw his way back in, and I have faith that he will. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of the last man standing for a long time. So, when I was in there, it was always, okay, I need to be the best. So I'm going to go at the person who I think is my biggest competition, and I'm going to, outperform them. And so far, I think I've done that.
Oh, without a doubt. And I love, I love watching you work. I've watched part of the descriptor that I'm putting out there. You are the perennial. What was the word I used? Well, okay, I'll skip perennial because I don't remember the word I used to describe without looking. But you have been a thorn in the side of APW with your work over the last couple of years. I want to talk about that. Have you always played heel? Do you like heel more than being a face?
At the beginning, I didn't know what I wanted to be. It was kind of a show to show thing. I could never really get my feet fully underneath me and what I was doing, what they wanted from me. This isn't just with APW, this is with everybody. But once I was kind of got more confident in my work, more comfortable in the ring, and kind of started to get a consistent flow of the same goal for each show. Like, this is what we want, this is where we want to go with it. When I had those guidelines, it was more of just like, okay, now we got the assignment. Now let's finish it. And let's make it. Let's ace this sucker. And one of my biggest things is I like to ask for forgiveness before I ask for permission.
Okay.
I
like that.
So far, there's only been one time where it's kind of got me in a little bit of hot water, but I never let that stop me. I never let that slow me down, because I think the most genuine things to really get people involved are the things that you just think of off the spot. If you think if you have to think about it a little bit, maybe you don't do it. But I just kind of let it rip, because it's either that's just who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. That's how I am in real life too. Like, I don't have time for people that are lazy, don't want to do the work, whatever. I don't have time for that. So is how you see me in the ring. I might not be that level of a, lack of a better word, dickhead, but that's just my personality, man. So, being able to be that bad guy is just kind of something that just came naturally to me, and something that I've just really, taken the ball and ran with it, because it's working, and it's been working for the last 3 years. I've been doing this with Absolute Pro Wrestling since basically we started running shows with them guys. So, having that background where I can just continuously, evolve my character, work to like make it better. It just makes it so much more fun. So,
And particularly in Waterloo, I don't get to many of the other APW shows in Algona and Des Moines. That's a little bit of a longer drive for me, but especially in Waterloo, the crowd just
that's that being kind of our central. We run most of our shows there. And a lot of those same people come to every show. Like, we see the same people, every month, and they're just as much involved in these stories as we are. They're there, they're seeing it. They've picked their favorites. They picked the guys that they hate. And we're lucky enough that, with Prentice and the Shank allowing us to really, build off that. they hear what the crowd likes and what they don't like, and they're doing things, putting things in the right places to where it works and people are invested and they want to come back. They want to see what's going to happen next. It's like we have our own little community of people, like that their weekly television show is coming to our shows in Waterloo every month, booing the bad guys, cheering the good guys, and just seeing what's going to happen. And that's the best part, because that's what keeps people coming back.
And I think it's really cool. Zach and I were talking about this last night, that the mayor of Waterloo, the current mayor of Waterloo, attends shows. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
And I gotta say something about that mayor. I called him out about 2 years ago for a match, and he's been ducking me ever since. I wanted to face him one-on-one, and if I won, I got to be the mayor of Waterloo, but he won't reply back to my messages. So,
well, we'll get on that. See if we can get him to respond.
I'm sure he might find this podcast at some point. So you never know. You never know.
I hope so.
We're chatting here with Cole Cannon. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast by the fan for the fan. Of course, we're powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Modeling, and colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo. I want to get back to something that Cole said a couple comments ago, and that was, your ring character is you. People say when a character's working or a gimmick is working, it's that person turned up to 11. That's kind of what you said, and you hear that a lot. But when people have success, it's that that's just them at 11 comment, and I thought a lot about that when you were talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna go walk up to somebody on the street and tell them how I really feel without being provoked. But it's just the way it is. I'm outside of wrestling. I'm a pretty quiet, just kind of keep my head low. But I'm not gonna deal with anything. Like I'll face everything head on, confrontational. Like I don't care. I just have that. I don't have that I don't care attitude, because when it comes down to it, there's only about 3 people in this world that matter in my day-to-day life, and that's me, that's my wife, and that's my daughter, and actually the 4th of my unborn son. So if it's not those, like, I'll fight to the death for I'll take anybody on. I don't care. But there's just those 4 people. That's all I care about, man. That's all I care about. So I take that fuel and I turn that up, like I'm defending my name and my honor, and that's how we get there.
And congratulations on the expected addition to the family. That's awesome.
I'm gonna have to get a new hat, huh?
Yeah. Cole, walk us through, when it's show day, what is your routine to get into go mode for stepping in the ring? Do you have any traditions, any superstitions when you're getting ready for a show?
This is the same thing. I do this every single day, not before a show, just every single day. Wake up in the morning, I walk to my refrigerator, I pull out a White Monster, I crack that sucker down the hatch. That's how we start our day, no matter if it's Monday, no matter if it's Sunday. White Monster, that's it, man. That's the key. That's the key.
That's one of the best ones out there, too.
That's the only energy drink that I drink, and I live by it. I swear my blood's probably 75% White Monster at this point. So, hey, if anybody out there from Monster is watching, hey, I'm ready for a sponsorship, man.
Do you sit there and sweat energy drinks?
Just White Monster, man. That's the only one. I've been drinking. And listen, I don't abuse them. It's one a day, one of just the normal size cans, one a day, and that's it. I've told my doctor about this, and he's like, yeah, as long as you're doing it, not abusing them any more than that, you're fine. So, hey, doctor said it's cool. That means it's good, right?
For sure.
So, maybe since you're the new champ for Absolute Pro Wrestling, your affinity for White Monster, maybe you get like some White Monster looking gear.
That's not a bad idea. I actually kind of like that idea.
You know what I mean?
Hey, if we can get some branding on that thing, I guess start making some money off that too. That'd be pretty sick as well,
There you go.
Monster Energy, if you're listening, Cole Cannon is looking for sponsors.
Let's go. You don't even gotta pay me. You just ship me a pallet of White Monster a month and call it a day. That's all I need, man.
Oh, Cole, I always let the guys talk, and I want to go back and touch on a couple things. When you said you would go, get on the network and go back and watch old shows and stuff.
Yeah.
What was a show that you kept going back to? What's like one of your favorite ones to go back to, and what are the reasons why? Some of the matches or whatever.
Just a lot of like old ECW stuff. I love watching those old ECW pay-per-views, mainly because I didn't know that it really existed when I was a kid, because it was kind of pretty much done for by the time I really dove full force into wrestling. So going back, seeing where guys like RVD started, the Dudleys, things like seeing like AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio pop up in there, and just watching some of those classic matches with like Raven and Sandman and all that stuff. Just stuff that I never got to watch before. I just kept wanting to see more and more and more. And you kind of start to learn about where these guys came from and all that stuff. Now, if it was more modern stuff that I did know was there that I missed, it was a lot of like Elimination Chambers, TLC stuff, basically all the gimmick matches. I was a big fan of gimmick matches and like hardcore wrestling and stuff like that. So it was always, trying to find all those, stuff that I couldn't watch, because when I grew up, we really didn't get a lot of pay-per-views. It was pretty rare. So just going back to those kind of gimmicky Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cells was always kind of my go-to.
So what's your favorite gimmick for a match?
My favorite TLC, man. TLC. Okay. I grew up, big Hardy Boys fan. That's pretty much everybody that likes pro wrestling was. Just seeing people fly through the air, crashing through tables. There's nothing better than that, especially as a little kid. So, seeing that stuff, and when I got into it more later, I figured out that deathmatch wrestling was a thing, and I got really big into like watching that and stuff. And I started wrestling myself, and I took a couple bumps on some thumbtacks, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably about as far as I'm going to go. some of them, I have nothing but respect for them deathmatch guys, but they're nuts. They're a different breed, man. They're nuts. Kudos, because keep me out of anything that's going to carve me up like that.
So no light tubes and no exploding.
That's not for me, man. I'd sit here and call myself a wrestling purist, but I'd be a liar. I do enjoy watching that stuff. Within reason. Some of that stuff can get pretty gory and pretty violent, but seeing some of the stuff, like seeing Nick Gage on AEW a couple years ago, that was kind of something nobody ever thought that we'd see. But when it comes to wrestling, I love it all, so I'm not here to discriminate. But when it comes to me, my body personally, I'm going to try to keep it in one piece for as long as possible. Keep all the blood inside my body.
Are you tuned into the current product? What kind of trips your trigger now?
I can't stand Jey Uso. Kind of tired of that. Get that out of my face. Big Seth Rollins fan. Being from Iowa, big Seth Rollins fan. Hate to see that guy go down. But anything with Gunther, I'm big into those big physical guys like Ilya Dragunov. Seeing him come back and just the sounds that he makes when he hits people is just it makes you just cringe almost. It's almost like you can feel it through the screen. So guys like that British wrestling scene, Pete Dunne, whenever he was pop up on TV, I've always like watching him work. So kind of more of that physical stuff is kind of what's really getting me these days.
Absolutely understandable, and there's a lot out there. There's a lot of good wrestling. You mentioned many names: that Dragunov, Gunther, Pete Dunne, high on my list of people that I wish would. I mean, obviously Gunther's been pushed to the moon, which is a great thing, but I wish that Pete Dunne would get a little more credit for his work.
He's when I started watching, when I discovered NXT and they started dabbling in the UK scene, Pete Dunne was one of those guys that instantly I'm just like the one thing that he did that really stuck out to me was, a lot of guys wear kick pads and knee pads. Well, he just wears the kick pads, and that is insane because wrestling without knee pads is horrible. It hurts so bad. So he's out there, got that big, humongous tattoo on his knee.
He's got like a tattoo of a bear on one of his knee pads.
That dude's a psycho.
That tells me he don't need knee pads.
He's a psycho. So, I've been a fan of him ever since then. I see ATW is still salty. I see they're still salty. Guess what? I don't care. I told you what was going to happen. I told everybody what was going to happen. And what happened? I beat them. So you're going to have to live with it because this ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry, guys. I think I just lost you a follower, but Absolute Pro Wrestling, they can eat it.
That's okay. I mean, if we did lose them as a follower, that might mean we don't get to do any more pre-shows out there. I hope that's not the case, but because I love going out to the shows. But we'll see what we can do. Now, Cole, I have to talk to you about something big. You know,
Okay.
Wrestling is not always flowers, wine, and roses. Convergence. The rope break.
Yeah.
When that happened, what is going through your mind?
So when I hit the top rope and I launched and I felt the tension come out from underneath my feet, I felt all the energy leave my legs. And when I wasn't really thinking anything when I hit the ground, but when I hit the ground, the first thing was, can I move my legs? So that's why I started kicking. I'm like, okay, I can feel my legs. I'm fine. I sat on it for a second, recollected myself, got back up, finished the match. And really, I was like, all right, that was scary, but that could have been bad. I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw the video. Like that, seeing that video, I was kind of like, oh God, I was extremely lucky. Yeah, that was a scary day for sure. I had my wife was there. I had one of my aunts was there with my cousin. So it was, that was kind of a scary moment for a lot of people, seeing the people react in the crowd. But I didn't want to finish the night like that. So I'm glad that I really wanted to finish with what we had, because Ryan or Leo Santelli, he's a good buddy of mine outside of the shows. So wanting to finish and, put on a good show, for that show for his boy was really important to me. So I'm glad that we were able to actually get through. I still have a bone to pick because I technically didn't go over the top rope. So I haven't been eliminated yet. So as far as I'm concerned, that match is still going on. So Brett Hadley better watch his back, because if I see him in a ring with a top rope, he's going over it. So.
And you talk about watching the video. Nick and I, it's known, we've talked about it. We left at intermission just because of the long drive, and we both had long days that day, so we didn't see it live. But kudos to good friend of the podcast, Jared Thumb, for getting underneath you to kind of cushion your fall. That definitely, for me, watching it was scary shit. I can't even imagine what it was like to live it.
I don't even know if he meant to do that on purpose or not, but boy, am I glad that he did, because when I landed, I really, I was headed straight for the back of my head, and that would have, had I not landed more, because I kind of landed more flush and level, because I landed on his back, so it kind of dispersed the impact as opposed to just straight pinpointing the back of my head. So, I have nothing but great things to say about Jared Thumb as a worker and as a just a person. I've always gotten along with him. He's a good dude. I like them, see that he's having a lot of success in his career. So, but yeah, I was lucky that he was there, in that situation. And also kudos to, not only Jared, but Obadiah King, from Madhouse Wrestling. He, that was only like his second or third show that he was involved in. And I think it might've been only like his second or first one in front of an actual live crowd. He just kind of he picked up and he's like, okay, this happened, we got to adjust. And I thought he did a great job handling himself for somebody that's so new into the business. So I needed to give him some flowers and some kudos as well. So
awesome. Very awesome.
Does getting through,
excuse me,
you never train. You never train for the worst case scenario. You've kind of had one of those. Does getting through that give you peace of mind, or is it a little more caution for the next time, for the possible next time that it could happen? How does one move on and keep going through that?
So I've actually had not a similar situation, but I actually did, get like relatively seriously hurt in a match previously. And yeah, you really, those things that hurt you, legitimately, you really start to kind of, okay, is there a reason why I should still be doing this? What is this accomplishing, me doing this? You think about those things, you really do. And it's really just all a mental game. It just, it's just like riding a bike when you're a kid. Sometimes you're going to fall, you're going to crash, and you either get to decide if you're going to, just put the bike back in the garage, if you're going to hop back on that sucker and, tame that lion. So I haven't gotten back on the bike yet. The bike is still in the garage. But with some more training, ring time under my belt, I'm going to, try a couple things behind closed doors. So if something, I can, whether that's just positioning, things like that, to avoid stuff like that. But that's just one of those freak accidents that you just don't ever plan for.
Right.
And, I've wrestled in that ring 100,000 times and never had an issue. I think that just happened, bad, wrong place, wrong time. So, but yeah, I will get back on that bike. I promise, for anybody that even cares to watch my, big ass do flips. We need to get some new guys in there that do flips, so I don't got to do them anymore, because they kind of hurt. Yeah, I'll be honest, they kind of hurt. But yeah, it's just it's mental, man. Just mental. Got to get back on that bike and tame that beast. So,
without a doubt. You are tuned into the Card Subject to Change podcast on the For Frequency Sake Podcast Network, the podcast by the fan for the fan, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, and colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo. I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Luchador's Mexican Grill in Harmon, Illinois, creeping in the comments here. Great. If you are in the Harmon, Illinois area,
yes,
stop by. These guys are fantastic. I highly recommend.
Best little small town hidden jewel we've stumbled across. Luchador's Mexican Grill in Harmon, Illinois. Check it out. It's a little bit off the beaten path, but it's well worth it, man. They're awesome. It's a Mexican restaurant with a wrestling theme. Come on, you gotta love it.
And I have it on good authority that I'm going to get Nick next time we go out there to wear a luchador mask to eat his Mexican food. He has one, and he can do it. We're going to make it happen.
We'll see.
We are talking with the new APW champion, Cole Cannon. The champ is here with that beautiful belt. Fantastic. Cole, as we get into the later parts of the podcast, we're called Card Subject to Change for a reason. We like to play a little fantasy booking.
Let's go. Hell yeah, I'm in.
So first thing I'm going to ask you, if you could wrestle anyone, past, present, anyone across the board, who would you step in the ring with?
AJ Styles, easy. AJ Styles, that's no question. Just I feel like his style. And let me TNA, like 2006 TNA AJ Styles. Back when he was still flying around doing all the all that flippy stuff, the spiral tap, springboard shooting star presses. I want that guy, man. That guy was insane. Growing up, I was lucky enough to have that TNA on my available channels, so I'd always sneak out of bed when my mom and dad went to bed, and I'd turn that on and watch it. I always get in trouble for staying up past my bedtime, but I had to see it, man. I had to, that 6-headed ring was just so captivating as a kid. But with AJ being kind of a smaller guy, essentially, his moveset and my moveset really, I feel like, go well together. I'd be a good base for him, and to really I love taking bumps. I love being the bump guy, doing crazy stuff. So yeah, AJ Styles would definitely be one guy. He'd probably be the top of my list, because he's always had to fight and prove that he really is one of the best to ever do it, and I don't think that's even debated anymore.
And I've been getting more into previous TNA that I missed when it was in its heyday. Like this morning, I woke up, I put on TNA Plus, and I watched the Triple Threat X Ultimate X match.
That match was
AJ Styles.
So good. One of the best TNA match, probably the best TNA match of all time, without a doubt.
Absolutely fantastic, and I would watch it 100 times over.
Yeah. Those guys, all three of those guys are, just people that everybody should watch and study and take things from, especially Christopher Daniels, dude. That guy never really got, everything.
You're right.
He
doesn't get
deserved.
enough love. He doesn't get enough love.
Just he was everything that he does in the ring. It's so smooth. It's got a purpose. It looks physical and real. And man, yeah, he's awesome.
Love him. Looking through the history of wrestling, if you could insert yourself into any story or any match, where are you putting yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. Any story, any match. So, the COVID Money in the Bank ladder match that they had at the WWE titles.
Okay.
That whole thing, that whole idea was awesome. That was such a good, good call by them. Because the pandemic, it sucked. We all know it sucked.
Yes.
For everybody involved in wrestling. But that was one of the things I remember because it was just so different. Like there's people like wrestling in Titan Tower. I just thought that was such a cool concept, and all the fun things they got to do, like sending somebody up the elevator. You bump them, throw them in the elevator, send them up. And like that was so much fun. I could have done without the throwing people off the side of the building.
Right.
Yeah,
Because didn't Rey Mysterio and Malachi Black die that night?
Allegedly. You scratch that out. Everything else, I thought that was so fun. I had a great time on, and they had two matches going at the same time with the men and the women.
Yes, they did.
It was just pure chaos, and I loved it. So I think that would something like that would be fun, where it's just kind of mad chaos, race from the top depth of the bottom floor to the top floor.
And such a unique finish with the briefcase being bobbled for the men, ended up being caught by Otis, which there's someone else who doesn't get enough credit. I know he's big into the comedy wrestling, but that man could be a monster if he's pushed right.
Mm-hmm. I agree. He's got the size and he can move too. So, but yeah, that match was fun.
No, I enjoyed that quite a bit for sure. Anyone you've got your eye on who's coming up in the business, anyone you're watching who's just starting to get into things?
Yeah, definitely. I know them guys over at Madhouse have a lot of guys, that they're training. They're being trained by Clay Cooper, who's a fantastic wrestler. I can't say enough good things about Clay and his ability. Trevor the King Olsen, he's a guy that I've been watching, since he started training. Jason Wolf, another Madhouse guy. And then Obadiah King, another Madhouse guy. I can't say enough good things about Obadiah. I think he's fantastic. He has great stage presence, great look, different look. And then Elijah Brooks from that debuted last night.
Yes.
Seeing some of the things that he did, I was like, man, he came back behind the curtain and I went right up to him. And I'm like, that was fantastic. You did a great job. So looking forward to, stepping into the ring with him, because that kid's got a lot of potential, and it's finally somebody else that can do flips, so I don't have to do them anymore.
It's fun watching these new up and comers come in, because even the people like you who've been around for a little bit, future of the business right here. That's what I love about independent wrestling, is you're seeing some of the older guys who are getting to the twilight of their career and are helping bring up the younger generation, but you are seeing the future of the business. And I always tell people, if you have a chance to go to an indie show, it's a completely different ride and you need to go.
It's more personal, man. It's more personal. We make relationships with these people. These people, they're on my Facebook saying nasty things to me because they hate me, man. They don't like me. That's the relationship that we have. They're not going to get on Facebook and go on a post that's got John Cena on it and say, John Cena, you suck. And he's not going to say anything back. I'll say something back, man. I'll put you in your place. I'll go word for word with anybody all the time. And I think that's what separates a lot of us is, our engagement with the fans is at a much deeper, more intimate level. than you can get at, at the big shows. So come out, support independent pro wrestling. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna see great matches. You're gonna see stuff that you've never seen before, and I guarantee you'll leave wanting to come back.
Where does Cole Cannon see himself in 5 years? You're theoretically about 5.5 years in. Well, where are you going to be in 5 more years?
In 5 more years, I'll still be the APW heavyweight champion. That's a no-brainer. No, ain't nobody taking that from me. Just keep doing, probably still exactly where I'm at. Hopefully I'm able to get some opportunity to, branch out, maybe, try to fight my way onto a TV spot or something someday. But, really, where I'm at right now, I'm happy. I get to do what I love. But I still have time to, be at home, be a dad, be a husband. There's nothing more important than my family. So wrestling is always going to take second behind that. So being able to have a good balance where I can, do what I love, but also be with who I love, at the same time is good. So kind of right where I'm at, but still want to be I still want to be the champ. I still want to be at top of the card. I want to be in the main events. I want new guys to come in and say, I want to wrestle him because he's been around. He knows. I'd love to get a couple of, names under my belt, like, get some guys that wrestle on TV currently or guys that used to wrestle on TV. I really want to get some of those under my belt. I've been fortunate enough to wrestle one person that was on WWE TV. I wrestled James Ellsworth a couple years ago. That guy's weird. I will say that he's a strange cat. But I want to make that list bigger. I want to prove that, yeah, there are guys, even though we're not on TV, but we can still go with guys that are on TV or have been on TV. Because you'll find that you never know what's out there. We might not look like Brock Lesnar. We might not look like John Cena, but we can work just as well as some of them guys.
For sure. Yeah. Hypothetically speaking, if you were, if you had the big companies come to you, say you can go anywhere you want, they've all got a contract waiting for you, where do you see yourself fitting in the best? Where would you want to go?
If you would have asked me a couple years ago, I probably would have said AEW just for the freedom. Everybody would expect everybody to say WWE just because that's top of the line. But there's so much uncertainty there. If I could pick anywhere, I'd probably go to TNA. Just because a lot of the guys there kind of wrestle the same style. They have a little bit of freedom. They get decent, good sized crowds. And if you can, make something of yourself on that level, then you're only going to be able to go up. I hate having the idea that it's lesser, but it's obviously, top of the line is WWE. We know that. That's always going to be the main goal. But right now in my current, situation where I'm at, I think TNA is probably where I would go.
I could see a lot of good matchups coming out of that if you were in TNA.
I've always been a big Rascals fan. Like, Trey Miguel, Desmond Xavier, Zach Wentz, even Myron Reed. I actually got to work out with Myron Reed once. I did a seminar with him, got to chop it up with him a little bit. Super good dude. He gave me a lot of good, advice, input. I'd love to wrestle that guy. I know he comes make stops in Iowa pretty frequently. So getting, and they got guys like James Storm popping in and out of there. James Storm is another guy that I'd love to work. But yeah, the Rascals are definitely like the top of like that TNA list. So
would you put yourself in the X division then?
Yeah, I probably have to just to start, because seeing where guys that used to wrestle in the X division and seeing what they have accomplished, just that long lineage of talent that have come through there with like Samoa Joe, AJ Daniels, DJ Z back in, the early, like late 2015. Frankie Kazarian is another guy. Just so many people have come out of that and gone on to have massive successful careers elsewhere. So, and being able to, if I were ever to be able to hold the X division title, that'd just be like a little kid goal. Like, man, I used to watch guys fall off ropes suspended above the ring in the Ultimate X matches, and now I got that title. That would be so cool. But
That would be cool. And then maybe you could go around talking about how you're not going to do flips, even though you are the X Division champion.
Hey, Samoa Joe did that, man. He
Right.
was just in there beating people down,
Yes, he
choking,
was.
putting them to sleep.
Yep.
So Cole, as we're wrapping up the show, we always ask, where can people find you in the ring coming up, and where can people find you on social media?
So for the rest of the year, I am actually done. I'm done until I think we have some shows coming up. Let me check my schedule here, but I know APW has some outgoing shows coming up that I hope to be a part of. I'll definitely be in Waterloo in March. Don't know who I'm going to defend my title against, but I'm assuming I'm going to have to because Jason Prentice has it out for me. On socials, I am on Facebook at Cole Cannon. Just search Cole Cannon. I'm up there. My Twitter, I don't really use Twitter that much anymore because Twitter is kind of boring and it's just all political, and I don't care about that nonsense. And then you can find me on Instagram. It's actually at my shoot name. It's at Tanner Briggs 1996. I don't really post a lot of wrestling stuff on there. Mainly just Facebook. That's kind of where I seem to get all my traction on my feed. You can search my YouTube channel, Cole Cannon 24. I try to post matches as much as I can on there if I can get footage and stuff like that. So just keep your eyes out for APW shows, and I'm sure I'll be front and center because they're gonna have to put me on there with whether they like it or not. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you mentioned your YouTube channel. Any particular matches you want people to focus in on?
So one of my first matches was against Jimmy Wild. It was actually my first match in front of a live crowd, and it was probably one of my better matches. And that's a testament to how good Jimmy Wild is. He made me look like a freaking superstar. That guy's fantastic. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to talk to him, but he's awesome. I got some matches up there with Bryce Jordan, a couple of them. Bryce has been a guy that I've always liked to wrestle. We always have good chemistry in the ring. Those two guys. And if you really want to dig in, go back, and if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the first APW show, the tag team match between Du Bois, Bryce, and Shank versus me and Damian Saint. That match, I think, really set the tone for the trajectory that APW was going to go on.
That's probably what I'm going to do as soon as I'm done getting everything uploaded. That match sounds fantastic. I love all those guys.
We did some stuff. Oof, man, I felt them the next day. I'm really proud of that because I think that really kind of gave the people like, oh my God, these guys are nuts. Like, I got to come back and see this again. And I think that match alone hooked a lot of people.
I can understand it. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm gonna seek that out as soon as I get everything posted when we're done here.
All my APW matches are on the Apprentice Wrestling Network, or US. I can't remember if it's USA Championship Wrestling, but you just search Absolute Pro Wrestling. A ton of my matches will be on there. Check them out. Share them, like them. Subscribe to APW's social media's accounts. We need to get as many eyes on this as possible because what we got going is really special. So
big time. Well, Cole, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk to you, and on the first stop on the Cole Cannon Victory Tour. We'll give a little shout out to our friend Zach Takis over at Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I know you're sitting down with him later in the week, so looking forward to hearing that. As for me and Nick, as for me and Zach, I'll start there. We've got an early edition of Wrestling with Fitness coming up on Tuesday. We're talking with the Diamond Standard of Color Commentary, based out of California, Mr. Doc Haywood. He will be on with us this coming Wednesday, which we didn't want to bump into Thanksgiving. That's why we're doing it early. And this is our actual last show of 2025. We will be back in January following this one. And Nick, I feel safe to announce this here. We talked with our good friend Joe the Show Winkle, and we've talked a lot about AJ Styles on this show. We are reviewing AJ Styles versus John Cena on WrestleBacks December 2nd from SummerSlam of 2016. I'm super excited for that one, Nick. How do you feel?
Yes, and it's been quite a while since I've seen the match, and all this talk of AJ Styles, how he wants no retirement tour, just wants to retire whenever it happens next year. So, yes, it's been a while since I've seen the match. I enjoyed it when I saw it, and I'm looking forward to going back and tearing it apart.
I just can't wait to see him beat up John Cena. Well, we will be back next Sunday here for Card Subject to Change. Not sure what we're doing yet. We're still in the works on talking that out. But tune in next week. Tune into Wrestling with Fitness on Tuesday. For my tag team partner and co-host, Mr. Never Wrong Bull, I am the Wizard CZ, the only shoot wizard in professional wrestling podcasting, by the way. This has been Card Subject to Change. Everybody go out and enjoy your wrestling week. We'll see you next time.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.